What's up, everybody? Sparewood again here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Elite Dangerous. When we left off in the last episode, we were making our way to Khun. That's where it was. I just thought I'd start recording here because we're headed to Sleepless. Every once in a while, I just can't get over some of the names in this game. I forget what the last one was. I think it was Bran or something like that, but just Lips. We're headed for Lips. It's just funny. So as you can see, we have about 29 jumps to go, so I'm not already there, which means unfortunately this episode may turn into a little bit more of yet another kind of podcasty episode. And that really just comes down to time that I have dedicated for recording, and I took a little chip away. I think I got another 10 jumps in or something like that. I don't even know how you should say this one. Pachamama? Pachamama. We went from Lips to Pachamama. Oh gosh. I wonder if these are actually, like, they can't be accurate names. They have to be made up. Like, it's gotta be just some kind of naming generator or something. I mean, I know that when there was, I think when they originally developed the game, when it had that, basically like the pill that was a certain area around our solar system, they had used, like, NASA maps and stuff so that they had it all accurate and whatnot, but Lips and Pachamama? Like, I just can't see scientists naming anything that. It just it doesn't. Now this one, LHS3855, that makes sense. I can see that. That works. Pachamama. I just don't get it. So, yeah. But no, I got about 10 jumps done off camera. And I was just running out of time, essentially, from when I started to what I have to get done for my recording session for the day. So, unfortunately, I didn't get more done in between now and the last episode. I've been working on other things. Truth be told, if I'm being completely transparent, I was working on something very important, and that was a Marvel movie marathon. Because I recorded the last Elite episode on Saturday, I think, which is odd because I normally record it on Monday. Big haul like that, surprised you made it this far. Well, unless you interdict me really fast, I'm out of here. Also, on a note, this kind of distracted me a second. There's 2 actual indicators that I missed for when you are on your last spot to refuel. Now, grant you, I have my route set up to be the KGB foam setting to where all of the stars on my route are refuelable. It's just basically keeping you from jumping. But you'll notice that right now it has a blue bar, and that's obviously, for any of you that are aware, going to be what fuel is going to cost for my next jump. But up in the top right corner, in the info panel, it'll usually say the last star on the route. I missed that before. This was actually revealed, I guess, or explained to me through a comment. But I also noticed a second thing is where this will also come up and tell you it's the last one on your route. This down here will also not have a blue marker. And if you jump in somewhere and you arrive at a star that can be fueled and your bar doesn't have a blue marker, it means it doesn't have enough fuel to make that jump. Is kind of what I've discovered as well. So there's that. But yeah, and we probably will see that right now. Actually, we'll probably see them both, in theory. Okay, so we do see it down here that there's no blue. I'm actually surprised this didn't come up, though, and tell me, because it's supposed to tell me. Anyways, I'm gonna park it right about here, maybe a little bit lower. I think between 40 and 45, I think, is a safe fuel temperature, or fuel scoop zone. Anyways, I'm gonna save my topics of conversation for while we're flying and not scooping, and that way we can get a little bit more progress done. So I will be back when I'm refueled. Alright, where was I? Oh yes, Marvel Marathon. So, in light of the recent Infinity War release, I had recorded my episodes for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on Saturday, but I normally record them on Monday, and I actually did that for unrelated reasons. I had mentioned it in the last episode that I just had some scheduling stuff that it wouldn't allow me to record on Monday very well, so I just decided to do it a little early and get it out of the way. With that in mind, though, from the rest of Saturday evening into like into Sunday, I started watching the Marvel movies all the way back to Iron Man 1, at the very beginning, and basically watched all of the MCU, essentially, with the exception of Panther. It's not out yet. But yeah, so I went all the way back, and it actually worked out crazy because I missed a couple times. I took too long doing something else, or took a break and it, you know, played a game or something and it took too long or whatever. And so I ended up watching all of them, but I finished Ragnarok like the morning of Thursday, or I think I finished it at like 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. And I went to see Infinity War on Thursday night at like the 7 o'clock showing, so we left at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, somewhere in there, because we had to go eat, and then we went to, you know, blah, blah, blah. And because, it's, you know, it was a crazy opening premiere type thing, I figured there would be a lot of people there, so... But yeah, so I ended up running it really close to the wire. I had like an hour or two after Ragnarok, after finishing that I ended up going to see Infinity War, and it was honestly worth doing it that way. The Infinity War was phenomenal on its own, but having refreshed myself and watched that whole journey all over again from start to finish, it definitely added a lot more weight to pretty much anything and everything that ends up happening in Infinity War kind of thing. It's like you feel way more connected with all the different characters and stuff because you remember it's like their entire journey is now fresh in your head kind of thing. It was really cool, and I definitely would recommend doing that. If you didn't get a chance to do it with this one, I do recommend doing it with the next one. What is it? I guess it's still Avengers 4 at the moment. They don't have a title for it yet. But yeah, and don't worry, it's still kind of new enough that I'm not gonna get into spoilery territory, so other than to just say I thought it was freaking amazing. It was really funny because Caden Red Pearl and I are good friends, always have been, not just like co-YouTube people or something. It's not just like somebody that I pull in for Dog Squad and other stuff like that. I mean, offline type thing. We've been friends since, geez, I think since I was like 15 or something. So we've known each other quite a while, and he doesn't call and talk to me anymore unless he's seen the movie that we're gonna talk about. And I keep telling him it's not because I give stuff away on purpose, it's just because he knows me way too well, and him and I are both really good at reading movies and stuff, so any kind of little comment I could make, it just ends up revealing something to him, and then he's kind of like, well, now you've spoiled something, and I was like, well, I didn't mean to, you just read the vague comment better than I wanted you to, you know, but... Anyways, it was funny because he called me. He didn't go see the movie till Saturday, and so he called me Friday morning, knowing that I went to see it Thursday, and he's like, it's against my better judgment to even contact you right now, but I just want your emotional reaction. What did you think? Not details. So it was a funny phone conversation because I basically ended up trying to be as absolutely vague as possible, kind of thing. And And all I told him was it's my personal opinion that I think it delivered on the 10-year 18 movie build-up kind of thing. Like, I was afraid that it wasn't going to be big enough or have enough consequences, or that Thanos himself wouldn't be as powerful as he should have been for, you know, like the comics and stuff like that. So I was just afraid that they wouldn't quite do it right, is I guess my thing. And then when they started releasing trailers and footage and stuff, it was like, oh, okay, I think they know what they're doing. And then going and see the movie, I was definitely like, yeah, no, they know what they're doing. It definitely felt like a big movie kind of thing. It wasn't just another, you know, character intro movie or setup or origin stories. I mean, it was like a huge thing. So I thought it was really cool. I really am looking forward to the next one at this point now, because I know they changed it. I don't think this is really spoilery to me anyway, because Marvel kind of spoiled it already and then tried to kind of backpedal on it, which I don't think worked very well. But when they originally announced the movie, it was dubbed as a Part 1, Part 2. And then they ended up changing it, saying that this one was Infinity War, and then the next one would be titled something else, and that they were standalone movies. And I guess on a technical level they are, and for any of you that have like seen the movie, you probably understand what I'm saying at that point, that it's like, it kind of does have its own little bookend wrap-up, like it could stand by itself and be its own movie, but in all honesty, it's pretty obvious that it was designed as a Part 1, Part 2, even though they changed the title. And like I said, I don't personally feel that I'm really spoiling much in saying that, because that's how Marvel originally announced it. It would have been different if that was some big plot twist secret where it's like, haha, you know, you'll have to wait till the next one kind of thing. But they originally set it up that way and then was like, oh no, we're going to do it differently. But they really kind of didn't. It still does feel very Part 1, Part 2. And because of that, I went in thinking that. Like, I went in with the mindset of, even though they changed the title, it's probably going to be a Part 1, Part 2 situation. And with that in mind, I was not disappointed. If you went in looking for it to be closure, like this ends everything and it's going to wrap up all the stuff, it probably could leave you wanting, I guess, because, you know, it does leave a big lead into where they're, like, what are they going to do in the next one, and it makes you really want the next one. It's like, what happens? Where do we go from here? Kind of thing. And so with that in mind, going in thinking it was a Lord of the Rings, you know, 6.5, 7-hour movie that's been cut in half kind of thing, I personally didn't feel really let down by anything. I mean, I thought it played out really well, and definitely set up another one. Like, as far as it for any of you that have seen the movie, you know, it's clear that they're going somewhere with it. Like, it's clear that they're doing more with it and they're not done. Like, I told another friend of mine, I was like, I always looked at this movie when they announced it, even, like, before I even saw it. So I was accurate, I was right, but this was something I had thought of before I ever, like, actually saw the movie. But for me, I always looked at it as the beginning of the end, not the end, kind of thing. Like, this is the ending storyline that's going to wrap up this 18 movie, 10-year build-up that they started with the original G1, you know, OG Avengers of Iron Man and Cap and all that kind of stuff. But it's not over yet. Like, they definitely... That's what I was meaning. Like, it is kind of the beginning of the end. It's introducing the arc and all that kind of stuff, but I don't feel in any way that they're really done with it. Which is why I don't really know why they bothered changing the Part 1, Part 2, because it's pretty obvious. It was like, I talked to Caden after he had seen it, and he was like, oh yeah, anybody that kind of doesn't see it as a Part 1, Part 2 after having seen the movie is like, you know, I don't know what you're looking at, kind of thing. And I agree. I was like, they titled it Part 1, Part 2 when they announced it. I personally don't know why they changed it. I think it probably would have put people's expectations a bit in more line with what it should have been had they left it. I think changing it and saying we're going to make them different titles and stuff probably gave people the wrong impression that they were going to be standalone movies kind of thing. And like I said, they kind of are. I mean, you could watch them. It does kind of have a beginning, middle, end kind of thing. It's not quite as bad as Lord of the Rings, where, like, literally it's like, we need to take the ring into Mordor, and then we're walking to Mordor, and then it ends. Like, that was how Fellowship ended, was that just like, yep, we know what we're doing now, and we're going. We're going there now, and then it just kind of ended. And so this one I do think does have a bit more of a bookend closure type thing, but it really doesn't at the same time. And for any of you that haven't seen the movie, I apologize for being vague about that and whatever. The people that have seen it probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And I do apologize if any of that could be considered spoilers. I don't think there's anything that somebody that had seen the trailers wouldn't already know, type of thing. That's usually how I base things on. If you're like, I'm not watching the trailers and I'm not, you know, reading anything, well, then, you know, everything's going to be a spoiler. I mean, saying the movie's Infinity War is going to be a spoiler. I kind of consider what's shown in trailers, what's implied, what the directors and stuff have said about the story, that kind of. I kind of look at that kind of stuff, and if it falls in line with that, I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything. And if people feel that way, then, you know, well, kind of sucks to be you, I guess. Because actually, that gives me an idea. I might talk about that in a minute. I love how people consider things spoilers. Like, it used to be, if you revealed some big plot twist, you know, it's kind of like Sixth Sense thing, that it's like, you know, plot twist, Bruce Willis is really dead, you know, then it's like, that was a big spoiler when the movie first came out, kind of thing, and nobody had seen it. But, and that is a big spoiler, and there's things in Infinity War that could easily be spoiled and ruin it for people, you know, but at the same time, I've been online now, having seen the movie, and there's some things that people are talking about, you know, and the way they'll say something super vague, and then somebody will be like, whoa, you should have put that in spoilers, and you're kind of like, why? It's not a spoiler, though, you know, it's, and I hesitate to say some of them out loud, because if somebody does consider them a spoiler, then I'm just gonna, you know, kind of get in hot water. But it would be like, for example, I guess it would be like talking about the fact that there are character deaths being a spoiler, not who dies, and that to me is inaccurate. It's like, the directors have even said that not everybody's probably going to make it out. So talking about characters dying is not a spoiler. They've already said that that's probably going to happen. Talking about who, you know, that I agree, that is a spoiler for people that haven't seen it and stuff. But, you know, sometimes I think it gets really ridiculous. Like, people take things way too far, kind of thing, that, like I said, some people are like, you know, I went and saw Infinity War. Spoiler! You know, and you're like, what did I spoil? The title. Duh. Okay. You know, it gets kind of one of those, where do you draw the line at a certain point? It's like, at what point do you just go, no, that's not a spoiler? You know. So anyways, I'm avoiding them, so I'm not. It's still really early. I mean, it only came out this weekend. If you've gone couple weeks or a month, then it's kind of like, okay, the people that haven't seen it yet probably don't care enough for it to really matter that much. Usually the people that are that diehard about it are going to see it within the first week, unless they just can't for some reason. But most of the time, within a couple of weeks, all of your big diehard spoiler phobe people have probably already seen it. And then you get the people that just haven't, and they're like, hey, what happens, you know? So I think a couple weeks to a month is plenty of time, and at that point you can easily just start talking about things without really spoiling stuff, or even using spoiler tags, honestly. I think that's okay. A lot of people would freak out that it's like the movie's been out 5 years and you're still not using spoiler tags and stuff in forums and things, and like I said, it's that line. You're like, where do we say this starts getting ridiculous, kind of thing. But yeah, anyways, I thought it was phenomenal. I loved it. I've actually already seen it twice. I went on Thursday and I went on Saturday. because my brother and his wife couldn't see it on Thursday with me. So it was actually, we were originally going to take a bigger group on like the premiere opening night of Thursday, and just series of events happened, scheduling conflicts, all this kind of stuff, and it basically just ended up being me and my dad, and we just went and saw it on Thursday, and it was like, I'm not worried about people wanting to go see it again. I'll want to go see it more than once. And so then my brother and his wife were able to go on Saturday, so we went with them again. And I was afraid that it was opening night syndrome. I've gotten to where I will not make a definitive assessment of a movie on a premiere night. And the reason being, premieres are always amazing. The energy's amazing, you're excited, you're hyped, so everything's cranked up to like 10. An example of this, we took, me and my brother and my dad and a few of our, my brother and I's friends and stuff, we took a fairly large group. I say fairly because there's some people that, you know, have a huge circle of people. But I think we took like probably 11 people or something to see the second Transformer, Revenge of the Fallen. That opening night, it was amazing. Like, it was just awesome. About a week later, when I saw it again, it kind of was terrible. It's like, ever since then, every subsequent viewing of that movie has just made it like that much worse, kind of thing. It's just a bad movie. And so because of that, it's always kind of made me think, well, opening night, you know, kind of have opening night syndrome. I'm going to go ahead and top off again. I'm running a little low on time. I got carried away with that, and I'm kind of hoping, with only 15 jumps left, I'm hoping we can make this by the end of this episode, so I might just have to cut every time I fuel. So I'll be back in a second. Alright, so where was I? Oh yeah. So, opening night syndrome. That's what I've dubbed it. But yeah, so ever since the second Transformer movie, I really don't trust the opening night thing as far as it being a great metric for how I actually enjoyed a movie. I mean, or feel about it. Like, critiquing it kind of thing. Not that I don't enjoy them, but you don't notice as many plot holes and things opening night. You're just like, wow, that was awesome, you know. No, after seeing it a second time a couple days later, it was pretty much just as amazing. I just really thought it was great. And yeah, I'm pretty sure out of my circle of friends, the most critique or con, if you will, that I've heard is it made them want to see the next one now. That was pretty much the only usual real criticism they had with it. It was like, you know, I want more. Let's see what happens next. And I can't disagree. It was pretty awesome though. And I have to give credit to the directors. I believe it was the Russo brothers that did Infinity War this time. And I have to give them credit. It cannot be easy to do any Avenger movie, and the reason for that is you've got so many high-profile people. That was actually my big concern with the very first Avengers, was if they could give, you know, kind of basically showcase everybody and have them all have their limelight moment without actually stepping on anybody's toes, kind of thing. And Joss Whedon did a phenomenal job in the first one of doing that, to where everybody kind of had their own moments and stuff. And the same with Ultron, really, but Ultron just felt like a little bit of a different feel and tone of a movie. I'm not really sure why, but it felt a little bit different. I think personally, I wonder if it's stakes. This is just a thought. This isn't like an actual matter-of-fact statement, but I wonder if it's the stakes, because while Ultron was an extinction level event type thing, you were basically fighting like Ultron, like a giant robot kind of thing. And he had more of himself, and so he had a bunch of minions and stuff, but like the first Avengers was an entire alien invasion. The second one was, to put it, you know, to steal the description from Bruce Banner, a giant murder bot. Which I love that line, you know, really? You're gonna roll over and show him your belly? Only when I've created a murder bot, you know. And then you jump to Thanos as the third Avengers movie, which is like, you know, the Mad Titan civilization planet-killing being and his Black Order kind of thing. So it's kind of like, I feel like if you look at just the stakes, while, yes, Ultron was an extinction-level event if he had dropped the Sokovia on everybody, it still, I'm thinking that's part of why it didn't resonate quite as well with me personally. I liked it. I do think I actually like the first Avengers better, but it is kind of an apples to oranges statement, though. I mean, it's like saying Iron Man 2 or Thor 2 or something like that is what I would consider some of the lowest points in the MCU when they're still really good movies. You know, it's like comparing Marvel movies to other movies isn't always fair, because when they have an off day, when they have a low moment or something, it's usually on par with everybody else kind of thing, when they have their best moments kind of thing. It's like the best Transformer movie to me still will be worse than most any Marvel movie, because Marvel's just done such a better job with their actors, their writing, their directing, their shared universe, blah 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 blah. And so that's what I meant by it's kind of hard to compare when you say Marvel had a bad movie or something, because it's like, yeah, but it's Marvel though. It's kind of like, it's almost like the same thing with Star Wars, where it's like, if Star Wars has a bad movie, it's like it made $100 million less than they expected to, and it's like, yeah, but it still made like $1 billion, you know? So saying that, though, it's just they're the heavyweights, so you expect a lot higher from them, and so when they don't quite do what you expect, people tend to look at them as, you know, they're not as good as the other ones, or they didn't live up to the other one's expectations, but it doesn't really make them bad overall when you compare them to other actual bad movies. So Ultron, I think, is still a great Avengers movie and stuff, but I do think I like the first one better, and I kind of just had that thought a second ago of, I wonder if it has to do with the stakes being a little bit different than the other Avengers, especially when you look at Infinity War. The stakes have never been higher than in this one, so it definitely feels like an Avenger level event kind of thing, of like, this isn't something that, like, I think that's part of it, is I think I could see it being like, I think Ultron I could see being an Iron Man movie, or something to that effect, where Stark makes something, it goes haywire, and then he has to stop it, and like, I could see that. It would be hard, it would be like pushing Iron Man to his limits kind of thing, but like, I could see it. Whereas when you get to like Avengers or Infinity War, where it's like this global event thing, it's too much for one character. And I think that's my point, is I wonder if that's why Ultron felt a little less heavy, or less epic than the other ones. That's just me. Some people probably liked it just as much or more or whatever. But again, when I first saw it opening night, it was like the new greatest thing ever, and then when I went back and watched it later as time went on, it was like, yeah, no, I can kind of see why some people still like the first one better and stuff like that. Let's see. I might just jump ahead, since we're running low on time. I might just jump ahead and finish this talk once we're actually at Khun, I think. So I will be back momentarily. Alrighty, so we have actually arrived. It was a long way away, but we have actually arrived at Long Sight Base, which is where the, yeah, Elvira Martuk is located. So that's good. I thought it was Felicity Farseer, but I forgot. So, we were invited. Now I have to donate. Donate all three. Nope. There we go. Boom. So now we have access to engines, shield generators, shield cell banks, and FSD, which is actually cool. I didn't know about the shield cell banks. What can we do with shield cells? Rapid charge, shield cell bank, specialized shield. So reinforcement, boot time is less. Alright, so spin up time is reduced by 10%, boot time is higher. Interesting. So this one does a 5% shield reinforcement and a minus 10% spin-up time. This one has a lower boot time, no reduction to the spin-up time, though. That's interesting. So, this blueprint increases boot-up time and loses duration to gain faster spin-up times and faster shield restoration when used. But I can do so much more if you're willing. Module integrity is lowered and power draw increased with this in exchange for quicker boot up times and better thermal load handling, but I can do more. So that's interesting that this one sounds like a good idea. It's like rapid charge, but this one doesn't actually reduce your spin up time at all, but it does increase your boot up time and thermal time and stuff like that, and still does a marginal hit to your shield reinforcement. So that's kind of interesting. I might actually, I'm kind of looking at the specialized one for that. I guess this is just typical engines. I've heard that the dirty drives are pretty good. I've never actually... What does this do? A drive integrity, thermal load, and power draw are sacrificed for increased performance. So this one increases mass... So this is more like it strengthens them. This one reduces thermal load. Power draw and mass requirements are sacrificed for better thermal handling and performance. So optimal multiplier is what I'm guessing is the actual performance of the thruster, because that seems to be applied on all of them. So this is 8%. This one is 12%. But this one also reduces thermal load and only really increases the mass, so I'm not really sure which one would be better there. Everything requires sulfur, dagnabbit. This one I'm not really worried about. It just increases the toughness of them. So I've heard dirty drives are good, but I've never actually checked them out before, so I'm kind of, I don't know, the clean one doesn't seem too bad. Somebody will have to explain to me why the dirty ones are better, other than just they do increase the optimal, but you lose in your thermal and power draw, whereas this one's just, they weigh more. So I'm kind of wondering if they're really that much better. Shield generators would be interesting. Let's check this out. So kinetic, there was one that I looked at these online, and there's basically like, you know, this increases kinetic, but you lose thermal. Enhanced low power doesn't sound bad because it reduces the power draw. All it changes is the optimal hull mass, which I gotta be honest, I don't know what it is, and the integrity, which is the health of the system. Reinforced increases the distributor draw. Oh, this is pretty good though, because it does change how fast they come back after they've been broken, but overall all of the resistances go up, which when you couple it with the bi-weaves of being able to recharge faster, that doesn't seem like a bad way to go. So by the looks of things, my money's on reinforced for shields. And you can let me know in the comments of, you know, what you guys think, or, you know, if I'm getting these wrong or whatever, but this is kind of what I'm looking at just from the base. This, I don't get this, I don't get why you do this one at all. Like, literally all it does is increase how fast it charges from what I'm reading. Speeds up the boot time, which is like, unless I'm running from somebody, who cares? Range obviously seems like the thing I would want to do. Shielded, I think, is just gonna, you know, make it stronger when it takes a hit. So I'm really thinking for this, it's gonna be this guy of increasing the. Actually, this I'm gonna go ahead and do. So it increases power drop, mass, and integrity, but will jump further. So that just seems like a good idea. And we have 2 of them. I don't think anything used this atypical disrupted wake echo, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it again. The second one will use it plus chemical processors, phosphorus, so we've increased it a decent amount. Wait a minute. Why is that just saying optimized mass? That doesn't sound right. Faster. This is supposed to be the range. We'll have to check. Longer range jumps are allowed with this modification, but at the cost of module integrity, power draw, and higher mass. I wonder why optimized mass. Oh, I guess it's optimizing the mass of your ship so that it can or the frame shift drive so it can carry more weight, so it can jump further, I guess is the idea. In fact, I'm gonna risk it. And I'm actually going to do most of these, I think, because almost all of these, I use these specialized legacy firmware, and I have quite a few of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and, let's see, is it clean use the sulfur? I can't use that, so we're just going to go ahead and go with the dirty drives anyway, since that's what everybody told me to use anyway. We're going to try it. Let's see. I'd like to get them up to a stage 2. There we go. So 12. This needs mechanical equipment, but I can do it. She will only go up to tier 2, so I could finish that off. Shields. Let's do reinforced. This requires phosphorus. I might only pop 1 on this. Just because I gotta kind of make sure that my phosphorus isn't needed somewhere else. We did that. I'm really kind of thinking this is the... Well, I can't do the sulfur ones anyway. So let's do one of these. Alright. So I think that's good for now. Let me know what you guys think. If I'm making all the right adjustments, then I'll just go ahead and top those off to through tier 1 before the next episode or at the beginning or whatever. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.